Please note the exits located on each side and in the back.
At this time, I would like to invite the audience to please rise and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for the final joke of the day. Knock, knock. Who's there? Boo. Boo. Don't cry. We're having an in-person graduation. Thank you. Please remain standing for the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner.
Hello and good evening. I would like to welcome the members of the Board of Education, Dr. Cook, and our central office administrators, Mr. Salutary, faculty, staff, parents, guardians, and especially the Daniel Hand High School graduating class of 2021. I want to start off by saying, wow. I can't believe that we're actually here, sitting in person with our friends and family at graduation. It brings me so much joy seeing all of your faces on the church lawn tonight. Since we started coming to school in person this winter, I've had the honor and privilege of doing the morning announcements every morning with my friends. Shout out to Kylie, Keelan, and Brian. And it was just a few weeks ago, the day of the Senior Picnic 2.0, that Mr. Salutary asked me to hang back for a few minutes after those announcements so he could talk to me. Now, if you know anything about the senior picnic, you might be able to picture what I looked like in that moment. If you don't, let me sum it up in a few words. Blue glitter everywhere. I was a little bit nervous. Maybe I went a little overboard by painting my body blue, or my blue cowbell was going to be a distraction for others and needed to be confiscated. Thankfully, it was none of the above. In fact, that is when, decked out like a Smurf, Mr. Salutary asked me to do the speech for you all tonight. Everyone here knows that this past year has been nothing short of bizarre. Our vocabulary has been expanding every day with terms like social distancing, quarantine, and mask mandates. In the midst of our junior year, our worlds were all flipped upside down without warning. We hoped and we prayed that it would pass swiftly as the seasons, but unfortunately, our senior year was not an exception. Making it through this school year has been no small feat. We began learning virtually on Google Meet, we couldn't see our friends like we normally would, and our mental health suffered. On top of that, we all had to deal with losses this past year, whether it was a sports season, the loss of in-person learning, or even the loss of a loved one. This year has definitely not been easy. But instead of focusing on what COVID has taken away from us, I want to take the time to reflect on the things that we've gained over the past year. I think that because of these unprecedented circumstances we have endured as a class, there's nothing quite like a trial by fire. And because of that, our class has created a bond unlike any other. For every time we got knocked down, we got back up again and pushed on. We took lemons and made the sweetest glass of lemonade. We gathered at the town campus to go sledding together like we did in elementary school on the first big snow day of the school year. We rallied together to support our amazing sports teams, cheering them on from the socially distanced sidelines. We even got to have 2 senior picnics to show our school spirit, adorned in our blue finery from Party City and Walmart. We've made the memories that will all tell our future roommates, friends, and one day even our children. Soon, we will all be crossing the stage and shaking Mr. Salutary's hand, signifying that we did it. We actually made it. Although we'll be going our separate ways next year, we will always be bonded by this year, our senior year. This begins the start of our own journeys, and I can't wait to see what we all do in the future. Congratulations to the class of 2021. We got back up and saw it through to the end.
Hello. You're out there somewhere, Mom. Hi. All right. Human experiences tend to be non-unique. It's true. Every emotion that's passed through you as you walk through the halls of Han these past 4 years has been felt by someone else. The amalgamations of feelings inside you right now, whether it be nervousness, melancholy, relief, something in between, or nothing at all, it's been felt before. By millions of people in towns like Madison and in countries thousands of miles away. Right now, and 30 years ago, and 50 years ago, and 500 years from now, there'll be people feeling the exact same way as you. I know what you must be thinking. What is this kid trying to say? There's no way administration hears that introduction and thinks, this sounds great. You know what the class of 2021 needs? Someone else to tell what they're feeling is invalid. One last emotional beatdown before their high school career is over. But that's not what I'm trying to say. Yes, the emotions we all have today have been felt before, but they are far from invalid. In fact, they are entirely warranted. And the truth of the matter is, though our class may just be another number in the sea of graduation years, the class of 2021 will be, for lack of a better term, in a class by itself. Now, I could get up here and talk about that overwhelming, colossal, malignant, ulcerating, socially distanced, double-vaccinated elephant in the room. But to do that would be pointless. To do so would be to let an abstract concept define our year. And though many times it had felt that way through cohorts, contact tracing, and Chromebook failures, we did not let it get the best of us. Teachers work tirelessly to change their curriculum, teach 2 classes at once, and figure out just exactly how to share their screens. It's the little button on the bottom right. Coaches gave it their all to adapt practices and schedules to bring our sports seasons any sense of normalcy, and those kids in our class who bravely unmuted their mics to tell the teacher that no one could hear them. Not all heroes wear capes. The class of 2021, we've had a lot to deal with. Having a pandemic on top of senioritis is like orange juice and toothpaste. It may have seemed like every privilege seniors had once was ripped away from us at some point as well, whether it be the couches on the bridge or the season of football. But hey, I don't know any other class that was able to wake up at 7:24 and still be on time for first period. Or any other class with students that were able to spend an entire school day from bed. Or any other class that was able to have 3 if we're counting the cohorts, senior picnics. Because the truth of the matter is, even though there were so many things about this year that sucked, we were safe. And we got to be in school, which is a lot more than other kids graduating this year can say. And though it might not be the same, we're still able to sit here on the green today. All right, we're all sick of talking about online schools, masks, whatever. I'm sick of it. I know everyone else is as well. Let's move on. All right, pandemic, thank the teachers, class is great, yada yada. Oh, how about the absolute electricity that is our class athletics? Scott Testori, the All-American soccer player? I'm pretty sure he's more popular than like any other American person playing soccer. Or Josh Israel, the Western Wall, if you will, of the Hans tennis team. Or Anna Steffen, who broke the girls' 2-mile record in a time faster than 95% of the people in the audience can run. Or Josh Stewart, who in the words of the legendary, illustrious track coach Timothy Geary, is quite possibly the fastest kid who has walked the halls of Daniel Hand. And who could forget about Matt Doyle, a kid so good at golf that my dad sees him on commercials for the Golf Channel. My dad probably knows 8 people under the age of 20 by name. So, Matt, I don't know where you are, Matt, but that's a huge accomplishment. And how about the authoritarian regime that was this year's baseball team? That is this year's baseball team. With Ann Tapino, Jack Perot, the Engelhart brothers, there's Gio, Danny, there's some other people I'm forgetting, and, of course, super slugger Danny Delbs Weinstein. The first team to make it to state champs in the program's history, and the first team to win, for that matter, tomorrow. I'm sure I'm forgetting a ton of recognitions that our class has had, but my point remains strong. Yeah, it's said every year, but our class is truly unmatched as far as athletics go. But more than our sports achievements, and more than the unorthodox year that will forever remain attached to our graduation, I believe it is the people that will define the class of 2021. We are a class of introverts, extroverts, writers, dancers, athletes, musicians, Twitch streamers, TikTokers, entrepreneurs, YouTubers, investors, fry cooks, dishwashers, local seafood restaurant employees, and volunteers, and everything in between. And if you didn't fit into any one of those categories, I feel you. And you are just as valid as anyone else and essential as anyone else to our class. I could go on for hours listing the amount of talent, motivation, humor, intelligence, and camaraderie that this class holds, but I'd like to get this graduation ceremony done just as soon as you do. I know my brother Willie is checking his watch as we speak. And Willie, I'm almost done. Let it be known that you, in tandem with the work of our teachers who define our class, it will define our class, not a disease that will not be named. Yes, it sucks that our year was altered, but that was not for us to decide. As a certain wizard once said, all we have to decide what to do is what to do with the time that is given to us. And we really did decide to do a lot. All right. It will forever be easy to look back on this year and think of the what ifs, the almost, the no shits, the could'ves, would'ves, and should'ves. But to do so is, again, pointless. All it does is put you in a headspace of perpetual disappointment. Living is easy with eyes closed, but no good does it serve. So instead, take a look at what we were able to accomplish, the friends we were able to make, the games we were able to play, and hey, the graduation ceremony we were able to attend. As cliche as it might sound, counting your blessings really is the only way you can get through this time as the same person. There's a million different platitudes I could try to leave you with, all of which everyone here has heard a million times before. But if there's one thing I'd like you to take away, something I try to remind myself on a daily basis, enjoy right now, today. Let me say it again for everyone that's drowned out my voice and started counting blades of grass or counting bees in the air. Enjoy right now, today. Take nothing for granted. Remember the past, be prepared for the future, but enjoy right now, today. Even if it's a Monday, or you're out of school for 2 weeks, or your phone is dead halfway into first period, or all your friends are in the other cohort. Because I'll bet that one day you'll look back on all these days this past year and find something you miss about them. Indeed. Ocean levels may rise, TVs may get flatter, the morning jokes may get cheesier, and attention spans may get shorter, but in the end, there will always be angsty 17 and 18-year-olds shifting in their seats on the Madison Town Green on humid June afternoons. Though in spite of all the similarities each and every high school class has, there will always be something in the air every time you tell someone you were in the class of 2021. So, to all my peers, keep your eyes to the skies, never glued to your shoes, and enjoy right now today.
Good evening, class of 2021. You're sitting in your seats right now, probably shocked at how fast high school has flown by, and hopefully thinking, wow, I am not the same person I was when I was a freshman. When I was a freshman, I tried to be a perfectionist on everything I did, such that I ran out of time trying to finish everything I was supposed to. As a senior, I've learned that perfect is the enemy of good, and it's better to get a lower grade than not get anything at all. When I was a freshman, I was so afraid to ask questions in class for fear of sounding dumb. As a senior, I've learned that it's dumb not to ask a question if you have one, because other people probably have the same question. When I was a freshman, I breathed a sigh of relief when the final bell rang. As a senior, I still dance in joy to the sound of the final bell. It's too bad this past year I have not heard that final bell ring as often with all the hybrid and remote learning due to COVID. But now we're here. Despite all the challenges and difficulties brought by the pandemic, we still made it here today. I would like to use this moment to say thank you to all our faculty, staff, administrators, families, and friends for guiding us through this past year and for making this almost normal ceremony possible. Now, I have a confession to make. When I first found out I had to give a speech at graduation, I was uncertain what to talk about. I was uncertain if I even had anything worthwhile to say. However, the more I thought about what I should say, the more certain I was of one thing. Life is filled with uncertainties. From the pandemic dictating our daily lives to the injustice spreading across the headlines in the news, we faced uncertainty of a magnitude that no one could have imagined in the past year alone. And here at hand, uncertainties came to us at every turn. After spending third trimester of junior year online, we had thought normalcy could return in the fall. But instead, we started senior year in cohorts. We had looked forward to events such as homecoming and sports games, but one by one, they were canceled. In the clubs I was part of, we could only plan socially distanced or no contact activities because for a while, no one knew when COVID would shut everything down. The trials of the past year, which had so much uncertainty, were like a test run. It was a test run of how we handle things we do not know much about. It was a test run of how innovative we can be in working around restrictions. It was a test run of how we live with the uncertainties of life. I say we passed this test run with flying colors, and we are prepared for a future where there will be many uncertainties. We took action over the things we could control by putting safety measures in place. We adapted to the obstacles in our way by modifying our activities. So we accepted the unknown. which many of us would have been uncomfortable with before. 4 years ago, I would not have thought I would be prepared for the challenges we have faced this past year. But from the moment I joined our PAW groups on the first day of freshman year, the first time I volunteered with the club, and the first time I stepped forward to ask a teacher for extra help, I had unknowingly joined an uplifting community that can help me face any challenge. The HAND community is where you'll find students who volunteer for community events like the annual Hammonasset Road Race, even when it's pouring rain, and the ocean wind chill makes the 40-degree weather feel like below freezing. You'll find students who will stand up for a cause and organize a youth protest, if that's what it takes to spread awareness. And more, who will cheer each other on from the stands or on the field, rain or shine. HAND is also where you'll find guidance counselors who will help you achieve what you don't even know you are capable of, and teachers who will drop off a class textbook for you in your mailbox or hold hour-long review sessions after school to help you succeed. So as we look back on the time we spent at Daniel HAND, let's not look at the disappointments we couldn't predict, but the successes we achieved in the face of disappointments. We are now armed with the knowledge and experience to face and surmount whatever disappointments come our way so we can build a better tomorrow. We are, in every way, what it means to be a Tiger. And together, even as we set out on our different paths, we will contribute to our ever-evolving world as Tigers. Thank you again to everyone who made today possible. I am so proud to be part of the Daniel HAND High School graduating class of 2021, and I thank you all for the time we've shared together. Class of 2021, congratulations and good luck.
One step forward, all of you. One more step. You guys come in closer.
Took my love and I took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, and the landslide brought me down.
Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? I've been afraid of
took my love and I took it down.
Don't listen to that. One, two, one, two,
I am unwritten, can't read my mind, I'm undefined. I'm just beginning, the pen's in my hand, ending unplanned.
Staring at the blank page before you, open up the dirty window. Let the sun illuminate the words that you cannot find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it.
Release your inhibitions.
Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Drench yourself in words unspoken. Live your life with arms wide open. Today is
Where your book begins, the rest is still unwritten. I break tradition, sometimes my tribes are outside the lines. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've been conditioned to not make mistakes, but I can't live that way, no, no.
staring at the blank page before you. Open up the dirty window. Let the sun illuminate the words that you cannot find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it.
Release your inhibitions.
Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Drench yourself in words unspoken. Live your life with arms wide open. Today is
Where your book begins, the rest is still unwritten.
oh yeah, staring at the blank page before you. Open up the dirty window. Let the sun illuminate the words that you cannot find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions. I am unwritten.
Oh, there it goes. Sorry, the beach ball has knocked my hat down, so I hope it looks okay. All right? Okay. First and foremost, congrats to the class of 2021. I'd like to thank my family, friends, teachers, administrators, and all my other supporters throughout this journey. And a quick thank you to Henry Wilson for the new nickname, because I think Josh Western Wall Israel really has a ring to it. So, when it comes to resilience, our class is truly one of a kind. We had our last year and a half of high school hampered by a global pandemic, yet still managed to make the most of it have fun, and ultimately make it here today. But rather than lament on what could have been and what we missed out on, I'd instead like to highlight the various ways Daniel Hand has shaped us into adults primed for success with much more than just an academic education. Our relations with our peers in the classroom have shaped and molded our personas over 4 years. With about 20 great minds in each class, we constantly challenge each other's thinking, offer new perspectives, and push each other to be better people. However, many people complain that Madison isn't diverse enough. And as I overlook a crowd of sunburnt faces and fake tans, I'd say you're right. Yet, what we may lack in racial diversity, we make up for in diversity of thought. Our constant exposure to people who view society in vastly different ways has culminated into a class of globally conscious, critical thinkers. But as much as we learn from our positive experiences with one another, I would argue that we learn even more from our negative or more awkward interactions. For example, many times during my junior year, I would have to grind out some wins in badminton for gym class. But then by the time I got to Ms. Stott's second period A-push class, I'd be drenched in my own sweat. I really felt sorry for my classmates. I mean, imagine just trying to read the Declaration of Independence when you look up and see an elite physical specimen, such as myself, sweating bullets, using his gym shirt as a face towel. But these sweaty history lessons taught me how to put embarrassment aside and to focus on the task at hand. I plan on bringing this skill into the real world, but hopefully I won't be playing badminton before my future job interviews. Oh, and just for the record, I actually beat valedictorian Kyle Northrup in the finals of the badminton tournament, and I'm still really upset that didn't count towards our GPAs. Aside from our peers, our teachers obviously played integral roles in our growth as well. Literally the first ones in and the last ones out of every classroom, our educators do an honorable service, dedicating themselves to furthering our learning, both academically and personally. While our teachers may sometimes get on our nerves, like when Ms. Stott tells me to stop watching my college tennis recruiting video again. Yeah, Ms. Stott has really seen me at my most vulnerable, if you couldn't already tell. None of us would be here without our teachers. Aside from demonstrating their intelligence by articulating difficult concepts, they inspire us with their energy and personality. None of us will ever forget Mr. Nye's electrifying energy at our pep rallies, where he'd single-handedly hype up 1,200 teenagers who just wanted to go home. How Mr. Nye is then able to bring that same energy into the classroom to teach the monotonous principles of supply and demand is completely beyond me. But we can't give all the credit to our teachers, as the administrators work behind the scenes to support us as well. Of course, the backbone of Hand's administration is the man himself, Principal Salutary. Now, Mr. Salutary is universally respected for his eloquence, sense of humor, and outstanding leadership. But in my opinion, we don't talk enough about his good looks. I remember sitting here exactly 3 years ago at my brother's graduation, and Mr. Salutary shared that the graduating class gifted him 4 large vats of high-quality hair gel. Believe it or not. Well, Mr. Salutary, it's clear you've made very good use of the gel, because I don't think a single strand of your hair has moved since the 2018 graduation. In fact, I actually wish that my own father would take a page from your book. And if you're trying to find my dad in the crowd, he's probably the only 53-year-old here with an afro. He's over there. Lastly, I would like to stress how talented each and every one of us are in our respective ways. Most of our careers down the road will employ personal skills aside from solely academic prowess, making that math test you failed and cried over completely obsolete. Now, I know what many of my peers must be thinking, but Josh, you don't even know what it's like to fail a math test. Honestly, you're right. But my ability to solve complex integrals is one of my strengths, whereas you all have your own talents that few others share. As I look out into this crowd, I see not 300 young adults limited by their weaknesses, but rather empowered by their strengths. I see not just aspiring, but future musicians, artists, doctors, lawyers, finance bros on Wall Street, and educators. We can offer society so much more by embracing who we are naturally rather than trying to conform into who we want to be. But if we're all of equal talent, then you shouldn't be taking advice from me. Instead, I found a quote by someone far more qualified, one of the most influential figures of the 21st century, former cover model of the Time magazine, 2020 presidential candidate, where he finished in about 11th, I believe, not too shabby, and the self-proclaimed Steve Jobs, Shakespeare, and Einstein of our generation, Kanye West. Quote, "People always tell you, be humble, be humble. When was the last time someone told you to be amazing? Be great, be great, be awesome, be awesome," end quote. So, class of 2021, no matter what path you choose to embark upon, I challenge you to be great. And not if, but when you're great. Don't ever let someone humble you, because you worked for it and you earned it. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the class of 2021. Have a great summer, and Bosch out.
Good evening. On behalf of the class of 2021, I would like to thank a few of the people who impacted us over the last 4 years. Mr. Bell, thank you for teaching us about the grave public health threat posed by the milk industry. To all the math teachers, thank you for collectively missing 0 days over the last 4 years. And congratulations to Mrs. McGrimley on a well-deserved retirement. You and Mr. Birdsall are two legends of the math department and will both be missed. Thank you to all of our teachers, especially for their heroic work during the pandemic. For 15 months, our teachers have done jobs they didn't want and didn't sign up for so that we could continue learning. Thank you to our administrators for their guidance and direction. We should all remember that it wasn't an easy year to be a leader. Thank you to our building staff, our nurse, custodians, cafeteria workers, and even our contact tracing team. Thank you to our families who have supported our education over these last 12 years. You have stood by our side in good times and bad, providing love, comfort, guidance, and wisdom. None of us would be here today without you. We owe a debt of gratitude to our parents for a great gift, sending us to Daniel Hand. Because we have spent thousands of hours within its walls, we forget how special this school is and how lucky we were to have spent 4 years here. We have top-notch academics that enable us to be critical thinkers who are engaged in the world. We have superior athletics. We have the best marching band in the state. We have a nationally recognized show choir, and we have an award-winning debate team. All of these attributes contribute to our school's greatness, but they aren't the source of its true value. The source of Daniel Hand's true value is its community, comprising the personal relationships that we have with each other and the sense of togetherness that those relationships create. That community may seem peripheral now, but it's what really matters in the end. In 50 years, Friday night football games, lunch with friends, and discussions with teachers during free periods are some of the things that we'll remember from our high school years. I can't bring up all these things without acknowledging their absence over the last year. Because of the pandemic, we wore masks and sat 6 feet away from our friends. We connected with our teachers over a screen, and several days a week we sat alone in our houses, the familiar white noise of students whispering replaced by a conspicuous silence. In more ways than one, our school felt empty this year. But that emptiness began to change in the last few weeks. Since March, we've been in the building every day. We've had in-person band and orchestra concerts, we had a prom, and today we are gathered on the green for our graduation ceremony, which is a privilege not afforded to the class of 2020. The emptiness of school and of life during the pandemic will soon only be a memory, but that doesn't diminish its impact on us. We entered the pandemic as children and emerged from it as adults, so our age group, perhaps more than any other, was shaped by these last 15 months. How did these months shape us? One of the most important lessons we learned is to not take each other for granted. In the past few months, I've been excited each day to be in full classrooms, to eat lunch with my friends, and to participate in school events. I can't say I appreciated those day-to-day encounters before the pandemic the way that I do now. We also came to know the limits of technology, which is a concept that our generation previously didn't know existed. In the last year, our daily screen time has gone from simply unhealthy to truly absurd. During online school, we regularly spent 10 hours a day or maybe more on the computer. For a year, we connected with the world mainly through social media, but we felt more alone than ever. So we have learned that meaningful connections don't happen over computer screens and that friendships can't be maintained by texting. The unifying idea here is the importance of personal relationships. Last spring, most of what we valued was taken away, and through this experience, we learned what matters most: our relationships with our family and friends. The pandemic showed us that the traditional indicators of success, things like GPA, college admissions, athletic achievements, don't ultimately give life meaning. Our relationships with people do. As we get older, the indicators of success will change and the stakes will increase. We'll be tempted to pursue wealth over friendships and careers over family. When these temptations come, look back on the lessons of 2020. Remember how you felt when our school community disappeared, and remember how you felt when it came back. Before I finish, a final thank you to the members of the class of 2021. We've been together for 12 years and now gathered for the final time. We've grown up together. We've learned, laughed, and lived together, and in the fall, when we go our separate ways, we can look back on the memories that we made together. None of us would be sitting here today without each other. So goodbye, good luck, and I will miss you all.
Good evening. I'd like to begin with a somewhat last-minute but exciting announcement. In honor of their 50th high school reunion, I would like to welcome several members of the Daniel Hand High School class of 1971 who are in attendance this evening. We have John Morgan, Suzanne Mara, and Sharon Tizzy. I would ask, I believe they're to my right, if they would please rise and we could give them a nice round of applause and a warm welcome. Just a couple of interesting facts Mr. Morgan shared with me when we actually met a few minutes ago. When he was a senior in 1971, Steve Jobs founded Apple. He was a junior in California. Bill Gates, who founded Microsoft, was a sophomore in Washington State. Jeff Bezos founded Amazon in his first grade in Texas. And Elon Musk, known for Tesla, was not born until 10 days after the class of 71 graduated. So some interesting facts. We're thrilled to have you here this evening. Thank you for attending. One more round of applause. So it's so nice to be back on the church lawn. I would like to thank the First Congregational Church for allowing us to use this space once again. I would also like to thank Nicolette, Henry, Lisa, Josh, and Kyle for preparing and delivering such impressive speeches. Considering the various challenges we have faced for over a year, they very easily could have shared messages filled with negativity and blame, but instead they were thoughtful, positive, and in many instances quite entertaining. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the high school administrators who are on the stage with me, as well as the main office and guidance staff for their work in preparing for this special graduation. As always, thank you to the custodial crew for their support this evening, and to our security staff for their efforts to ensure a safe and successful event. I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to wish Mr. Birdsall, Ms. Curran, Mrs. Fabricant, Mrs. Maroney, Mrs. McGrimley, Mr. Seals, and Dr. Tuzio nothing but health and happiness in their retirement. I have truly enjoyed working with you over the past 8 years, and I will miss you. And my final round of thank yous goes out to the Daniel Hand faculty and staff. In my opinion, the quality of this professional group is second to none. During typical times, they have been outstanding. Over the past year, they have risen to a new level of excellence, all while navigating this challenging world of virtual, hybrid, and in-person learning. I would like to publicly thank all of them for their student-centered efforts and their endless dedication during these unpredictable and stressful times. I'm honored to work with such a dedicated group of professionals, and I am so impressed with our school community. Thank you all to the faculty and staff. And now on to the class of 2021. It would be very easy to stand here this evening and focus on the pandemic and the impact it has had on all of us over the past 16 months. Quite frankly, I'm tired of talking about this particular topic, so I'm going to generalize a bit this evening. The last 16 months offered us many lessons. Two that I find to be most meaningful are, first, not to take things for granted, and second, to appreciate everything you have because you never know when it may be taken from you. During these challenging times, we have not only witnessed, but we have been part of a world working to defeat this pandemic. On a much more personal level, as a school community, we lost one of our own. The tragic passing of Adam LeBlanc was devastating. He will always be remembered as an important member of the class of 2021. Despite these and other unexpected challenges and losses, your achievements in academics and in the fine arts, as well as your competitiveness and success during